Yeah, we had a workshop. All right. I'll call to order our January 13th, 2025 regular council meeting at 6 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Present.
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 Present. Here. Present.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Please join us for prayer and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, Lord, we just want to lift up our town in prayer. We want to thank you for all the blessings of the last year. We ask, Lord, that moving forward into the new year and the future, that you keep us going and in a godlike direction. Please guide us and keep your spirit upon our town and our people. And finally, Lord, thank you for loving us and being a great God and giving and guiding us even when we don't deserve your grace. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I think we have no amendments or nothing to leave this evening, so motion to amend or adopt the agenda is presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott, second.
Second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign nay. Motion approved. Approval of minutes approved by and submitted by the clerk treasurer, also noted upon our website.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign nay. Motion approved. Approval of allowance claims submitted by the clerk treasurer, also noted upon our website.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign nay. Motion approved. Approval of payroll allowance docket submitted by the clerk treasurer, also noted upon our website.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign nay. Motion approved. We'll take a moment to sign those documents. Sorry. Okay. Our 2025 organization of the town of Soderberg council appointments. I don't know how you want to do with Matt being gone today, or do you guys have any thoughts or suggestions of what you all would like to do moving forward? So,
I'll make a motion that we retain current president Amos as 2025 town council president.
I'll second.
okay. All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign nay. Thank you very much.
I'll also make a motion to retain current vice president Terry Langford as 2025 vice president of the town board.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Same sign nay. Motion approved. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Comments from the public on our agenda items?
We need to-
Huh? Sorry? Oh, we have a vice president. Sorry. Was you the vice president?
He was the second vice.
Huh?
So I'll make a motion that we retain the current vice president, Scott McVoy, as the next second
Okay.
vice president.
All right. Can I second that? I can second that. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Same sign nay. Motion approved. Thank you. Okay, nobody signed out anything for comments on our agenda. No ordinance and resolutions for starting out the year of 2025. Our unfinished business is our Ivy Tech wastewater project contract and award. Mike Harris, I know may have something that he needed to add. I know that our award was given to Mac Construction back in November, so.
So we are, we've been working with Redevelopment Commission, trying to figure out how to get all this financed. I think we're close to having an answer to that. What we've talked about doing is awarding the projects. You have to award it as bid. And the total bid price was $3,238,000. And that is for, there's just under 5,000 feet of pipe, 22 manholes. It eliminates the Ivy Tech 2 pump station. So that's going to go from the Ivy Tech side of 65, gets rid of that pump station, goes under I-65, goes through the woods, and ends up tying into Penn Street over at the downstream end. So it eliminates pump station and force main. That all becomes gravity through there, and then that opens up the development across the road from Ivy Tech. That area gives you somewhere for all those sewers to tie into. So it's kind of starting at the bottom and moving your way up. So the recommendation is award the contract to MAC as low bidder, and then we're working with them on a smaller piece that would come back and you would issue notice to proceed so they could get started on the first piece that you have money, money cash on hand to go ahead and pay for that piece while the financing piece is being put into place to pay for the rest of
So
it
basically
in phases. Right. But you have to award it as it was legally. You have to award it as it was bid. You can't just award a piece of it.
Okay.
But you can issue notice to proceed for a smaller piece. So they've been very good to work with up to this point, working towards that. We think we've got a good demarcation point that makes sense. It's going to take them probably 6 weeks plus or minus to get shop drawings and just to even get to the point where they're ready to think about getting started. So the timing, based on what we've talked about with RDC and the Wheatley Group, the timing should work out really well, where once the rest of the money is in place, they just keep going right through there.
Correct.
So
Okay.
we're recommending award of that, the Ivy Tech 2 gravity interceptor for $3,238,000 to Mac Construction, who was the low bidder.
Okay. All right. Before I make that, does anyone have any thoughts or any discussion? Okay. All right. With that, then I ask for a motion for the approval of Mac Construction for the Ivy Tech wastewater project of $3,238,000. Got a motion by Terry. Do I have a second? Second by Scott. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign, nay. Motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Our first new business of the year is our MS4 OHM contract. I know it's there in front of you. I know it was sent out to Bart. So, Charlie, are you standing in for Bart on this?
So this is part of our MS4 stormwater management side of things. We do this every year with OHM. The SWAC, or the Southern Indiana Stormwater Advisory Committee, which is made up of 9 communities, contracts with a single engineering firm to assist with stormwater and MS4 permitting. I believe last year our budget on this was like $15,000, but we only spent $7,600. So this is a contract with OHM that we do for annually every year. I'm trying to find
$9,310. That sound right?
Yep.
So we pay 4.6% of the 9 entities involved.
Correct. So yeah, so the contract for this year is $9,000 not to exceed. It's a not to exceed, so it's not a flat rate. So $9,310.
Okay.
Council approval for that for 2025 services for MS4 stormwater.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the not to exceed $9,310 from the town of Sellersburg for the SWAC expense breakdown for membership of the,
Brad, I have a question. at this
Sure,
time.
absolutely. Okay.
If this is it, or do we need to wait till we move forward with the motion?
we can motion and discuss if you wish.
Okay.
Do I have a-
Charlie,
Go on.
what does this actually do? What is provided to us as a service? I mean,
Services that needed related. So as part of our MS4 program, which is Clean Water Act, the Clark County and several communities in there are part of it, or we are considered what's called an MS4 community. So there are MS4 processes that have to be done with any new development or project, plus there's permitting annually that has to be done as part of this. So together, the SWAC, which is made up of town of Clarksville, City of Madison, Sellersburg, Floyd County, City of New Albany, Oak Park Conservancy, City of Jarrettsville, Georgetown, we come together and they split those engineering services and permitting services. And they've been using OHM here for a couple of years.
So I guess a question I have, do they have oversight on our stormwater, or do they provide any type of?
No, so our stormwater ordinances are established within our community, but the MS4 program is more of a state type of program that we're part of.
Okay.
And that's what this is relegated to.
That's all I have, Brad.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Okay, with that said, then I ask for a motion for the approval of the not to exceed $9,310.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, same sign, nay. Motion approved. Okay, thank you. Our next new business or handbook amendment, emergency and travel warnings discussion. Sure, this is you as well, Charlie.
Me and Jake. So, as you all recall, we had a relatively decent sized storm event. And in our handbook, we have a policy under page 28 that talks about emergency weather. And it says, in the event of emergency weather conditions, we ask that you use sound judgment assessing your individual situation. If Clark County or the county in which you live declares a weather emergency, the town will compensate you for your scheduled work hours. If you miss work in Clark County or the county in which you live did not declare a weather emergency, you're required to use PTO. So then the issue became Clark County, and I think this is a verbiage issue more than anything.
Absolutely.
They did not issue a state of emergency or weather emergency. They issued travel emergencies. So
Based on weather.
based on weather.
It's just cleaning it up to where the town of Sellersburg has control over what the town of Sellersburg is doing versus what Clark County may issue, right? So I think Charlie does a great job. You guys do a great job understanding what's going on in our community. Everybody works together. If there's a state of emergency or if there's a travel advisory because it's not safe because there's 10 inches of snow in for, say, the building department versus the people who are actually on the roads, that there is that discretion. And then also kind of how you all want to handle that, right? That's another question. And maybe Michelle Miller can help a little bit there just from how hours or who gets paid or how they're paid and that type of thing, when and if we get to that point. So that was really just to bring this to you all and how you all want to move forward with, when weather hits like it does.
Okay, I guess my thing would be is, from even I know what we do for our town, but we also have our officers, who have to get on these roads as well. So, I mean,
They're coming to work.
so, huh?
They're coming to work.
Yeah, I know,
Period.
I know
The
you're
road
gonna make
crews
them
are
come to
coming to
work,
work.
but with this, the way this
See what I'm saying?
but the way this reads, if this way this reads, you're stating that one of the chief's officers could go back to this handbook and make a fair claim, I guess, a
I
statement
think
or,
this is more
one of-
relegated to the office staff.
Yes.
okay,
So, I mean, you've got the billing office, you've got some people here in town hall. Chief has some administrative staff as well, obviously.
Mainly affects the hourly.
I think
So, okay, perfect. That's how. So do we need to state it to say something more than that, those layman terms of an hourly? And maybe you have a better probably feel of this probably, Scott, than probably any of us.
I think you should be very clear on what employees are essential, and what employees are non-essential. Like the chief said, I can't believe the police don't get snow days. I mean, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Really?
I'm pretty
I
hard.
wasn't aware of that. You mean the police come to work every day?
Yeah.
But I think before we approve something, that we should specify in the verbiage to make no, don't muddy the waters up as far as, hey, the county, Clark County EMA, I think they do an excellent job. They declare a weather or travel advisory, which affects employees who aren't, and don't be offended, but are not essential employees that are allowed to stay home based off of that recommendation from EMA or the state, then they get compensated for that day versus someone coming and wanting to get a snow day and getting paid for it. That is not what this is about.
Correct. And when the public works hourly teams are hired, that is made very clear when things like this happen. But then it comes to the administrative stuff, and where the confusion came in, you had City of Jarrettsville issue a state of emergency, City of Charlestown issue a state of emergency. Then the county came out and issued a travel warning, which states the highest level of local travel advisory. This means that travel is restricted to emergency management workers only. Well, that is not reflected in our handbook.
And it should be.
Therein lies the beginning of this conversation. How do you all want that to reflect
Right.
in this handbook so that we can be?
Should
need to
should we put in place where we declare a state of emergency and operate on our own? And
You absolutely could.
Keep it, if I may, keep
Yeah,
in mind,
absolutely.
you have some employees though, that you put that in that lives in maybe another county or in Jeff or Clarksville. You gotta make, just because if they declare it and we didn't do it this time. Me and Charlie had extensive talks on that during the storm. And we didn't put out the official, travel warning or proclamation. But, we both put something out on the social medias, like if you don't have to be out, don't be out. But if Jeff puts one out and you have an employee that lives in Jeff, and now they're in a sense they can't come to work because they're not supposed to be on the road, but ours is not. I think, like Scott said, you don't want to muddy it too much because everybody doesn't live in Sellersburg.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that looking at, again, if the county or another city of that jurisdiction declares some type of travel emergency and we don't want people out on the roads and they're a non-essential employee here in town of Sellersburg, I think Charlie does a great job. Department heads do a great job of saying, hey, don't come to work today. It's not worth getting in an accident or something happening to you. That the town should have that ability to make those judgment calls as well, not just leave it up to the county or the state or any other jurisdiction. And I trust that Charlie would do that. I just want to make sure that the verbiage is right. Not saying that our employees would do that, but you just never know when someone wants to push the envelope and go, oh, I want a snow day today. I mean, I don't get them.
I did.
So as long as we clean that language up to where we have that ability, I think we'll be fine, in my opinion.
Charlie, obviously, police officers and road crews can't work from home, but do any of the other hourly employees or any
We could
capability of
structure
working
something,
from
but
home?
honestly, on a situation like this, I mean, with the weather and travel issue that it is, I mean, for us, one day is going to be what it is. And if there's a situation, it's like when we did with COVID, I was running laptops or stuff around and dropping things off to make sure operations continued. So I'm not overly concerned with that. It's when these type situations happen, which obviously we haven't really had one until now. Just like I said, it kind of came through when, declares a weather emergency. They didn't issue a weather emergency. They issued a travel emergency. So, and this handbook amendment could be as simple as saying if Clark County or the county in which you live declares a weather or travel emergency or / weather and or travel emergency. I mean, it could be something as simple as that in the verbiage to clean it up. I just want to make sure that we're covered within our handbook, SBOA, the clerk treasurer's office and whatnot. as far as how this is addressed. If we get another ice storm come through in 2 weeks, what's this look like? So that it's clear in the handbook, everyone knows what the expectations are. The chief and I have the ability to do what we need to do to make sure operations continue from an essential perspective versus administrative that can be pushed off a day.
So who makes the decision about who is essential and who is not essential? Is that your call?
I think it's like Michelle said, maybe an hourly employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be
Maybe.
Charlie's call with people he knows he needs, just like, I think I texted a few of you, told you I was closing the
Right.
lobby well in advance.
Right.
like The civilian people are not coming in. So I think it's gonna be on a case by case situation, but, you know, I only have 2 civilians, so it's a little easier for me than it is
So
Charlie.
to Scott's point about not muddying the water here, what's the recommendation? I mean, you're the one going to make the final
I
call.
honestly think it just needs to say something to the effect of, in the county in which you live declares, if Clark County or the county in which you live declares a weather and/or travel emergency. I think that probably cleans it up. I mean,
Declares
it's
a
pretty
state-
basic.
Declares a state of emergency, weather emergency, and/or a travel advisory warning, leave it at that, and then make it retroactive to January 1st of 2025 to cover anything that could possibly be brought up, exactly. And then if we need to kind of jump in a little bit more, just from an administrative standpoint on who's essential and non-essential, let Charlie do that as the town manager for, all of his team, and obviously have Chief do that for.
Well, and
for
again, that
his.
could be different. That could be different depending on the time of the month. If it's billing time of the month,
I'm saying, let
you know, and
Let
there
you
again,
determine.
all right.
What
So
I'm saying is
Yeah,
that's where you're at, the same way
That's where we.
Michelle Miller
do
for
it.
her office, there's a couple in there, so. All in all, I think this is more just getting us in compliance with State Board of Accounts with some language for what just transpired and then moving forward, that's all. So we can bring back this amendment with what's stated, if that sounds good, or if y'all have any additional questions.
Works for me.
Okay. I think that's fine.
So
Yeah, like I said,
just back to the beginning, you know, it's kind of like algebra class. I missed a little point here in the front. The county declared a weather advisory,
Travel advisory
Hey.
warning.
a travel warning.
travel warning. And we, as a town, we declared it as a state of emergency, or we did not.
We as a town, you as a town did not issue anything from an official perspective. Some communities did, the county did.
So on the website, we basically didn't report it as a weather advisory or weather emergency.
Now, like I said, Chief and I had this conversation. Realistically, the county issued it. That basically covers just about everybody.
So we just fell
Our
under what the
opinion.
county was doing then.
Which is what's referenced in our handbook. But
Okay.
because when they came out with an announcement, it didn't really have that option in our handbook. We just need to clarify the handbook so that when and if Clark County does issue the same warning, that we're covered. That's all.
And I guess just while we're on the subject, and you mentioned hourly employees, like these guys come in and plow for 12 hours sometimes. Is that a condition where it's, they're not salary, they're hourly? So are they making time and a half, double time?
Overtime, I mean, whatever it is.
Just 1.5?
Mhm.
Okay. And as far as the trucks, the only question I have, and when someone's driving like that, do our trucks have DOT numbers on them? So we're not under the laws of the commerce or anything like that. We're under our own.
We have one.
We have one.
Mhm.
It's a larger truck.
It's a larger truck.
Okay. Thank you.
Majority of our fleet are 550 or 250s, standard four-wheel drive trucks with plows and salt spreaders. And we have one international.
The reason I asked that question, you're restricted to 10 hours a day on some of the commercial drivers, and I drove a half-ton truck and it had a DOT number, so I had to stop at Scales when I did that. So it kind of muddies things up a little bit, but I didn't know if we were required to do that, or I don't. Chief says no, so no is the answer, I guess. All right, thank you.
all right. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think if people are RMC today telling you about your billing, as well be out late. So due to lack of people. So, I think it's just a common thing for us to use. So I'm good.
You got RMC's bills could be late?
Yeah.
Might get a credit?
Nobody gets no credit. And they just told you ain't gonna get your bill for a couple more days. Be ready to pay it, it says. So, all right. So, you want us to make a motion for y'all to move
So
forward?
what we'll do is I'll get with Jake and we'll bring back some updated language for the handbook to reflect state of emergency, weather emergency, travel emergency within that. And make it retro to Jan 1.
Do you need a motion to table it? Bring it back?
That was just discussion, so we'll bring it back on order as resolutions to the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Okay, it completes all that. Any comments from our public tonight? Charlie Pierce, go just jump right in here for 2025. Come on up. Oh,
I said it before, but say it again, that whoever's responsible for getting the lights and JC Park.
no, I can't agree with you 100%.
Big difference.
Yeah. I agree. I thank them myself, so appreciate that. Anyone else? All right. Staff reports, Charlie.
Welcome to 2025. It's been an
Yeah.
adventurous month thus far. We did our best with snow and ice removal. Yes, we fielded quite a few complaints about blocking of driveways. Unfortunately, there's not really much we can do with that. When you get that much snow and ice that quickly, push it to the curb and move on, keeping the roads clear, and that's what we did. I want to commend the team coming in and working. We ran multiple shifts around the clock and did a pretty decent job, and then had a nice time this past weekend with our 6 inches on top. So I was able to get that knocked out pretty good as well. Outside that, I don't really have anything else for you guys tonight. So
Okay. All right.
unless you have anything for me.
Anyone have anything for Charlie tonight?
I just want to back up what you just said. Our roads were fantastic compared to everybody around us. So, and I think one of the things that helps us is the ability of using the 250 F-250s and 350s and 550s, and you can get around a lot better. We have a full staff because they don't have to have CDLs, and it actually works in our favor quite a bit. I don't think.
All of our public streets at this point are clear. Trash service was not interrupted with the exception of Indian Oaks, which is privately managed from a roadway perspective. They're still dealing with some ice issues back there. I had some conversation with the management today, and we're going to look at moving forward with some nuisance action on them to help prevent that hopefully happening in the future from a sanitation perspective, as well as emergency response for fire, EMS, and police as needed. But as far as the town public roadways, like I said, I apologize if we mounded snow in the cul-de-sac, because when there's that much snow coming in that fast, you can't always see where the driveway is. So we go around and try to reassess those. And again, apologies for people having to shovel out of their driveway, but again, there's not really much we can do. And it's just one of those times where everybody needs to kind of come to the table and kick in and
It's the nature
maybe
of the
help
beast.
yourself or help your neighbor.
It's the nature of the beast, and I had several conversations with people on cul-de-sacs that there's just no good way to clean a cul-de-sac with a snowplow. It's just
When it's snowing, ice, and slick and forward
Yeah.
drive with a snowplow and a Saltsbury, I promise you, there's no good way to
I'm
clean a
yeah.
cul-de-sac.
And that's what I tried to tell them.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, as far as the cul-de-sac thing, my neighboring neighborhood, Plum Lake, Run and Plum Lake, both, they didn't even do the cul-de-sac. So, I mean, our people ought to be glad at least we got something out of the way. So, all right. Thank you. Chief? Okay. Thank you. Mike Harris, JTL, has your sheet in front of you.
Go through these pretty quick. Sunflower Valley, we finally got some info back from the attorney. So we are finalizing those easements, working with, we'll talk to IFA about getting those finished and getting permission to go ahead and get that bid out. So we anticipate having that ready to go out for bid here in the next couple months. Be good timing once weather breaks, get construction started. Just as a reminder, that is being funded entirely by the IFA and will be turned over to the town once it is completed. Lead service line, we got everything submitted on type 2, type 3, phase 3 will start here. We were just talking about this afternoon. So they're They're starting to work on phase 3. There will be some digging involved with that. So there'll be a contractor involved doing some vacuum excavations, trying to identify areas that we think are likely to have those, so we can start, or not have, so we can start eliminating neighborhoods. So if you remember, the whole idea of this is to, at the end of it, to have an idea of how many services you have that have lead joints or copper in there, excuse me, that need to be replaced. It's not replacing any of them. So you have identified areas that don't. So subdivision that was built 5 years ago, it doesn't have lead in there. So first part was to eliminate all those from the list. You've notified everybody that you don't know what they have, if they have it or not. And now you're going to start narrowing it down. So at the end, you'll know what you have. And then in theory, there's more money coming from the state to start eliminating them. So this, you kind of started off here, you're here, and then you'll get to here at the end of that process.
Do you start at the older sections of town? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
that's where the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first part, we kind of eliminated the newer stuff, and now we'll start going through the older stuff. And that one is being funded by IFA as well. So there's no money out of your all's pocket on that one. 31, I think we're finally down to the last little bit on getting that finalized with NDOT. Should go out to bid in April. We were just talking earlier about the last little piece, water line over that serves Hope Coffee. So I think we have a plan on how to take care of that. And that will be under construction this summer. So that'll be coming up. And then the water tank, they're done, just waiting on the final pay request to come in. We're going to go out and we're going to go take a couple pictures. Obviously, you're not going to see anything right now. Big bunch of snow out there. Let's see, sewer, town center sewer. So that is in the final kind of phases of getting that ready to go out for bid. I know RDC is working on funding for that as well. We've got a permit going to IDEM this week, and there'll be a few easements to acquire, but that one's coming to an end on the design side. Be ready to bid that, and construction, I guess we'll have to coordinate. That doesn't have anywhere to go until IB Tech is done. So we'll have to give some thought to the timing. You don't have to wait for it to be finished, but we certainly don't want to get there and not have anywhere to connect it into. IB Tech, we talked about that. 31, wastewater is the same thing. State Road 60, Charlie, I don't know if Thomas updated you, but we talked to NDOT, the utility guy at NDOT, Bill Reedy, and he said he wasn't waiting on anything, and then he came back and he said he was waiting on something, and then he came back and said, oh, I think you all are waiting on me. It's up at central office. So he is moving forward on getting that taken care of in theory. So we're just waiting. The contract's been awarded. We're waiting on NDOT to say, tell the contractor to get started. So as soon as they do, we'll be ready to go. CCMG, just waiting on the final payment to be made, and then the 2023-2 can be closed out. 2024-2, you can see the bid schedule there. So you received $658,000 for that. So that will be advertised here shortly. Bids will be open on February 6th. And then there's an application for the first 2025, so 2025-1, that will go in this month. I think it closes January 30th.
Yeah, so that 20, usually we do the -2s. We're doing the -1 because if you recall on our 2024-2 last year, there were 2 streets that were kicked out due to mapping issues. So I'm going to resubmit for those 2 streets. One of them is the entry part of Celeste, and another one back here is Circle Drive, where the other parts of those neighborhoods were accepted in the 2024-2, but because they were kicked out due to mapping issues in the system, we're going to reapply. I'm going to reapply for those two they can be done this year.
Okay.
Go with that. Mike, I did have a question real quick.
Mhm.
This type 3 back on the lead service line. Did we get money for that? Have we got money for that?
Yeah.
How much?
Got, I believe that one was 100,000, type 3. Yeah, you got money for all three pieces. The people who got money got 50% of what they asked for type 3. And then the only other thing, do you want to talk about the PER stuff now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go ahead.
All right. So we had started talking at some point about a list of water system improvements. So two big ones are a new raw water line to the plant and a tank over at Camp Run. In order for you, and I gave you a couple documents. One is called the preliminary engineering report requirements. The other's asset management program checklist. To be eligible for SRF money, so state revolving fund. If you remember, you all used that funding for the wastewater treatment plant, low interest loan from the state, generally about 2.5%. In order to be eligible for that, you have to submit what's called a preliminary engineering report, and then they changed the rules recently. You also have to submit what's called asset management plan or program. You used to submit that at the end. Now you have to submit it at the beginning. So in order to be eligible, you have to get those documents submitted. The time frame is about the beginning of April in order to be eligible for the next funding cycle, which would be, you would most likely be able to start construction in 26. So you would find out that you were on the list in around July, and then in the fall they release the funds, or let you go ahead and start moving towards bidding to use the funds so you can start construction in the spring of 26. And if you don't get it in, then you've got to wait till the following year. So we had talked about this work order to do the PER and the asset management plan back towards the end of the year. I know you guys had some things you wanted to discuss, figure out where you stood. So we were bringing that info on those and then the work order to get started on those two items for your consideration.
Okay, so in front of you, it's probably right here.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, so
we have
work orders also under there. So there's, I gave you these two so you all could see what goes into those documents that goes in there. In essence, it's your grant application, but you can see it's a pretty involved process to get that. And if you want to get that thing in by April 1st, it's quite a bit of work. Need to get rolling.
Right. So Mike explained that, for us to kind of meet this April 1st deadline, we really do need to get based upon this. And it states in here between task 1 and 2, then it also states in here that payment terms, a consultant for these services shall be in a lump sum in the amount of $75,000. And like you say, it all states on here, all the different project areas. Is very similar to our sewer, which was a lot more than this right here, I must say. So, based upon them changing this and kind of putting this in our lap, I think at this earlier in the ball game, it's I think our obligation to move forward with this would be my suggestion. It's up to you guys to make a motion if you would like to do so.
But I guess my question is, if we move forward with it, there's nothing's going to change from this month till next month, right? It's other than we need to get started now so we could get it in by April. Is that
So you can get it. Yeah, right. We were hoping to start in middle of December. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. It's a lot of work to get this thing together. It's a binder about this big of all the info you have to collect to get in there. So it's a timing issue. And this does not obligate you to any sort of loan, construction dollars. This is the application. You have lots of steps along the way that you can decide, we want to keep moving forward. You may start off with this much that you're looking at borrowing, and you may narrow it down to this. So this is just the first step to get in the ball game, and then you can figure out down the road how you want to actually proceed with it.
Now, Mike, will this cover any water project we have, or is just the ones we designate that we're actually borrowing the money for?
Just the ones you designate. So one of the very first things we'll do is sit down with Charlie and the water staff and say, what do you want to include in here?
So
You
if
know.
something pops up next month, unless it's put on, unless it's
You
listed on
can,
here.
you can do amendments to it, but if it's kind of small, they can work with it. If you come in with something large, you're going to have trouble getting it in there.
Okay.
Because you're going to get approved, at some point, you're going to get approved for a dollar amount. They're not going to come back and say, oh, well, we'll give you a bunch of extra money on top of that. So if you say, well, we don't want to do this, but we want to do this instead, it still fits within there.
So you have
You
a
can do
plan,
that.
you know what it costs.
Right.
And that money goes towards
That's
that.
exactly right.
Now, what if you don't spend all the money?
You don't
Don't take more than what
you
you
don't
need.
take it. You don't take more than what you need. Right.
Okay.
So this is the plan. And then at some point, you're going to bid it. And then you're going to know what the exact dollar amount is. You're going to bid the project or the projects, and then you'll base it on that. Yeah, you won't borrow more than what you need.
Like for the last 2 years, Charlie, tell me if I'm wrong, we have a sheet that showed, I think, like 9 or 10 projects, 2 or 3 of the older neighborhoods, plus a raw water line and a possible tank, and also our water line to our rural water project as well, correct? I think there was like 8 or 9 projects was on that list for almost $25 million. So, right. But you
It
said so, right.
originated with the
So I'm
master
just
plan.
letting you guys know that
Yeah.
was what that was.
If
that
you
we-
remember,
we've
they're
had
back
this,
in,
yeah.
when was that, 2018?
Right.
The master plan was done, and it's got all that list of projects. Obviously, it's changed, and there'll be some adjustments to it, but that's where it started.
So Mike, there's a application fee here, and we're soliciting the state for a low interest loan.
Correct.
Is that,
Correct.
and,
Typically about 2.5%.
okay, so if we weren't soliciting the state, and we were just borrowing this money on the market, what?
5, 6%, something like that, 5, 6, 7%.
So the consulting fee and the solicitation fee will be a greater savings in the end at a 2.5%.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just so.
If you were going to borrow $100,000, no, but for
I got it.
$10 million, yes.
Okay,
Yes, absolutely.
just so I'm clear and.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
This is very typical.
Okay. So with that said, I ask for a motion of approval for work order number 2025-1, the consulting fee of the services in the amount of $75,000. Got a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign, nay. Motion approved. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate your help. Jake? Okay, all right. You want to go first or last? Okay, all right.
I don't want to take away any of the thunder from these guys. Matter of fact, I missed the big snowstorm. I was on vacation myself, so. But it seems from everything that I've heard went well. The street department did an excellent job. Police, all the town employees. I know it was some long hours, and I get the frustration sometimes, but you can't control the weather. I think everybody managed, and considering where I was out in the mountains, they would probably laugh at us over 4 or 5 inches of snow. The ice is nothing to play around with, but I appreciate all the town employees and everything that they've done to make sure we stayed up and running. So other than that, stay warm, be careful. Thank you.
Okay, all right, Terry.
I just what he said. I think our crews did a fantastic job. I'm really proud of them. I know we had a couple people that were causing a ruckus. We just couldn't seem to make them happy, but it's the nature of the beast. We were able to get our town trash picked up. We were able to keep our roads clean. People just need to take a little bit of responsibility themselves and kind of dig themselves out if they have to. But we have to keep the roads clean. You got to have for emergency equipment to run up and down the roads. So everybody got to take it on themselves to do a little bit. I mean, I shoveled my driveway myself. Me and my wife are out there doing it, so it can be done.
Yeah.
And thank you to all the employees. I've said that since day one. They all did an outstanding job. So yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Randy?
Just give some accolades to the guys, the snow removal people, management. I was in contact with Charlie, kind of involved with the streets a little bit, and went over to the work area where the trucks are. Just thank the guys for doing what they do, and they seem to be, on top of it. I've been to a couple of other towns, actually out today, 6-7 days later, and was on some streets in a neighboring town that haven't been touched. So, and then talked to our president here a few days ago, and I think in 2019, if you counted the blades on trucks that we had, we might have had 3. And I think blades now, Charlie, are somewhere around 8 that are equipped with the 8 snow removal blades. Is that somewhere close? All in all, 10. So, it's progress. And I think it's tax dollars spent in the right place. And, in an imperfect situation is what a snowstorm is. It's hard to get perfection. And, you just have to cut a hole through there and try to do best you can, and just to help people. And my neighbors, the streets, we got together and, helped out some driveways. And I fortunately had some 4-wheel drive vehicles, and I just went and made ruts for some people. So I think it's just one of those things we have to deal with. Patience, you ask for patience, and most people are, they can understand that. But outside of that, moving forward, we had some meetings last month about where our town wants to go in the future with the, I guess the name was strategic vision. And I think that's one of the challenges for this year going forward. What are the most changes that mean the most, and how are we going to put a face on our town in the future? So, that's a piece that I hope we can all sit down together and say, hey, what's the most important? We have to do the maintenance. We have to take care of what we got. But as far as, moving forward, how's our growth going to be? Because it's going to grow, like it or not. We just want to make sure it goes the way that we would like it to go. But outside of that, props to the people in the town that do the services for us. And I'd give them an A+ for what happened. And, I'm sure not everybody is happy with each piece of it, but everything that I asked for that, I seen some people needed some places plowed again. And I talked to Charlie and Scott Griffith, and they were very receptive, said, hey, we couldn't do this because of this, and we'll go back. So I just think in a town where you can communicate, if you have a problem, the key to it is communication. But outside of that, I think we may get another one. So I think we're way more prepared than we were 5 years ago. That's all I got.
Yeah, I completely agree with that last statement, Randy, because like I said, we weren't, and it still irks me a lot to think that people are a little maybe selfish about things when it comes down to things. I know everything's not perfect. Myself included, I cleaned someone's driveway that I'm probably always not a fan of. But I'm not going to allow someone to be trapped in their home at a certain age of life. And so I turned the other cheek in my life and my thoughts, and did so. So, not everything's easy. So again, I appreciate everything all of our crews have done. Like I said, I think if it would have just been snow, it would have been fine. But like I said, we had the sleet and the ice became a factor. Our crew jumped right on top of it. Charlie was on top of it. Probably the only thing that I'm really disappointed about is the fact that the chief didn't get his parking spot cleaned. But other than that, come on, I just wanted you to laugh a little bit, Charlie. Charlie, I wanted you to laugh. Okay. Okay. All right. But threw that in there. So sorry. I just wanted you guys to smile for once. So, but at the end of the day, today I went to a funeral to a very well respected man in our community, Carl Huber. And his middle son, Dennis, got up and did a fantastic job on his eulogy and everything. And he used the word, he mentioned a word that Carl used a lot, and was moderation. And, when you think about how you are on your everyday life of things, maybe you need to look up the word moderation and see what moderation really means, and be a little bit more willing to understand what life is all about. So, and it just that's something that's probably going to stick with me for a long time now. And so I hope everyone else that's listening or here personally, they think of the word moderation when you are angry or upset or about something that maybe not always going your way. But again, I think that's something to think about. So I know our crews have got a lot of things we'll have to do. We're hoping some sunshine gets through here and cleans some things up. I know we've got our park over at Wilkerson Park. It's got a lot of new snowflakes upon our trees. So I don't know if we're still lighting that up. We still lighting that up, Charlie? Okay, all right. So everybody can come to see Christmas still. So yeah, all right. Well, again, like I said, I appreciate everybody's understanding, and out of 5,800 rate payers and homes that we have in our community. Okay, you 8 or 10, I guess you wanted to vent and say what you wanted to say. But again, I'm very proud to be a part of this town. I'm very proud to be with the 5 individuals that I sit here with. And I'm proud of everyone that works here for the town of Sellersburg. So again, I thank you, and I'm looking forward to a positive 2025. So that's all I have to say. Michelle, you have anything? Huh? I think Charlie. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Spring. You got that right. Okay. With that said, I ask for a motion for adjournment. Got a motion by Scott, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 6:53.
Charlie will be out hiding Easter eggs before you know